So it was a great platform to show and share some basic informations and good tips and tricks from LabVIEW. So I'll just explain. This is myself. So I am Mohamed. I am a project engineer from Healthcare Technology Innovation Center from IIT Madras. So basically, I'm a researcher and partially I am doing some LabVIEW development also. So I have a research profile with IEEE, MEMEA, and EMBC. So any of you guys who would like to look on my research profile, so you can visit on my LinkedIn profile to visit the papers I have presented. My favorite research and the papers which I have published are in the field of clinical sites. So mostly I have done research on blood oxygen saturation estimation. Hope you guys could have heard SpO2 levels and some pulse oximeters because of this COVID issues and all. So I have kind of worked on some really helpful reflective pulse oximeters, which can be come as a simple sticker-based pulse oximeter instead of one which you guys might have used or seen as a fingertip pulse oximeters. So I have made some research and published some of my observations in the papers. Hope you guys will have a look on that. So let me just continue with the LabVIEW tips. So what I'm going to share my part of experience which I learned over the years with the LabVIEW development. So hope you guys will have a good fun with that. So I will be happy for receiving any suggestions or some other improvements. So let me start. So as Muruganandan said, yeah, like the template creation in LabVIEW is kind of very good starting point to develop any project development, I would say. Basically, like once you start the software development cycle, so after the FRS stage, many of the developers will need to reach this stage because it will basically reduces all the debugging issues, because once you clear with all the necessary requirements with your front panel and the block diagram, so you will have a prior idea to create the templates and some common modules which could be needed for the application. So that can be created as LabVIEW template, as Muruganandan said. So so say, let me see, like whatever the things I've shown. So some of the basic features which actually are required for a small interface. So there will be like some sort of graph or some basic requirements. So whatever I have added, I made some functionality also in the block diagram also with some proper architectures. So using some LabVIEW architectures templates, I can create that. I will have the template in the block diagram and create some sort of front panel with like this. And if I save it, save the LabVIEW VA as VA template, I can create some templates like this. So there is an option to create the template project templates also. We can add more information as Muruganandan showed just a minute. So there will be some option to add more information about the templates in the Project Explorer window itself. So that would be help for the good starting point to develop any LabVIEW project. So next is like after creating a project template, after designing with a proper user design architectures and programming design and all. So the next thing is like you need to like make a POC with the front panel. So what I would say is creating a custom UI with some necessary required controls and indicators will be like make the most of the requirements satisfied. So once you know the list of requirements, we can create the UI with more interactive. So we have received like in LabVIEW by default, we will be having the custom controls. Default native controls are in some sort of silver, and we will have the native controls in LabVIEW. So what we can do is we can create a custom control by making the control as a type definition, and we can modify the definition of the control, modify the nature and the visibility of the control. So what I have shown in the below four in controls are all the four controls are the native Boolean controls. After that, what I did was I just changed the appearance in the type definition window. So this controls can be add some more value. Another thing is by default LabVIEW Boolean controls will come with slightly bulker size. So this if you when you are doing some custom control design, you can slightly reduce the custom control with the proper icon and all. So it will add more room to your front panel, which will make the front panel to look more interactive. So the other thing is I would say is like the DSC module. So LabVIEW has this data supervisory control and module where there be like many required images and snips will be available based on different categories. So you can find for whatever there will be you can find the DSC module and image navigator in LabVIEW using the below options. Like in the front panel, you have to go to tools and you have to choose the DSC module. There you will find the image navigator. Using that option, you will be basically getting all the image navigator options available in the LabVIEW. By default, you have the LabVIEW with a professional development environment. DSC module won't come with it. So it requires you have to specifically install the DSC module with the LabVIEW development system, whichever you are using. Next thing is like the custom data visualization. Say a case, I'm going to just propose a problem statement here. So I need to have a front panel with the data visualization with some sort of a bar plot or some waveform graph. So where I will basically need to display some information in some bar plot informations, and also I need to display some strings which related to the bar plots. So I need to add some Boolean indicators which are related to the values in the bar plots. So my requirement slightly increases further like this. So what we can do in the basic environment is like we can create all the required controls and indicators and the functionalities. But let's say if you want to make more scalable development, say for an example, whatever I showed in the window, I have a list of 3 sliders, and below that I have one string control. So let's say our problem statement satisfies with the 3 sliders and a 1 string control. Say a case where user in the next day user comes up with a plan that he wants to look on the overall week's data visualization sort of thing within a window. Then what you have to do is you need to run through all the day's data and need to visualize and or else like make a report for each day and sort of it. Let's say if the user want to see all the week's data within one window itself, that will add, you will have to make like a copies of all the controls and indicators. So let's say if you want to create 7 for 1 week, it will come like 7 days of 7 in multiples of all these control and indicators, which will add complexity in your development also. So what I have shown is this is an array of clusters. So this cluster is having a 3 sliders and one string control. Say a case, if I want to show it for a week, what I can do is I quickly simply expand the control, where I will have in the block diagram, I will basically going to have one same element remains the same. Say for an example, I need to look on the Thursday's data using the block diagram terminal using the block diagram cluster terminal itself. I can quickly look into the values and make all the requirements change. So using this array of cluster-based implementation will kind of look on reduces the development in the front panel and also in the block diagram. So it will be a more scalable also. So I would like to share some of the few things which are added in the LabVIEW 2020. So in rings and enums, we actually found some new additions in the LabVIEW 2020 version. So I would like to share those information. Say a case, the left side, I am showing some ring constant. Say I have items in the ring constants like item 1, item 2, and something like that, and development 1 sort of it. Say I have 100 items in my ring constant. So usually we need to use a ring constant with a type def, basically because in order to make a final changes, let's say if we were doing some changes in the final part, it should reflect with all the previous development. So I forgot to add a picture of a type definition ring constant. So whenever we need to create a ring constant, it would be better and it would be a good practice to go with the type definition ring constant rather than a normal ring constant. So, and the next thing is, say if you have 100 items in the ring constant. So if you right click the ring constant, you will be going to get a window like this, where you can click on select items, which will open a pop-up something similar to the quick drops. So where you can simply type the item name and you can just select that item. So that is a one good option which is added in LabVIEW 2020. So let's say if you are using a ring control in the front panel, so assume a case you are developing in the project. That project was currently under development. Say a case where 50% of modules were developed and you want to perform the testing, and also you need to perform some 50% of modules under development. Say a case the separate team is working for testing. In the case, what you can do is, so whatever the codes and modules which you are plan to do in under development, so you can put them under the development case in ring, and you can make that cases, or you can make this ring lost value hidden property to hide the lost item in the ring, which could be your development cases. So which will basically make good usage with good parallel testing with that team. So when you are doing some development, the team is kind of parallelly can perform the testings. Say it will kind of reduces all the issues and some errors when they say if you are partially doing some development. So testing team can run through many errors if you are allowing allowing the tester to run through all the cases. So this will add more complexity. This will add some complexity. So using this lost value hidden property will basically help you to remove all these barriers. So next one is asset functions. So this asset function is actually added in LabVIEW 2020. So this is kind of really making some more flexibility when you want to develop and need to make some statements in numerical operations. So let's say your malleable VAs have some sort of numerical type mismatch, or it requires some limitations with numerical values. So what you can use here, we have in the LabVIEW 2020, they have provided this asset type function. Using these asset type functions, you can set a particular limit for every numerical value. So this will add all the it will add more development. If you use this asset functions in the development phase itself, it will avoid the data mismatch in the testing phase, and also it will reduce the debugging time. So I will say this will kind of almost reduces and kind of removes the testing phase for numerical operations and checkings and all. I would hope everyone would go through this asset functions for in your future developments. So the next one, so the merge error. So I hope you guys have went through with the merge error. So recently they have added one option. I just have found it more useful. So in the merge error used to basically, let's say let's say we have added as many error wires into the merge error wire. What we will in the end, what we will receive is the only one error which came up first. So let's say I have like 10 errors in my application. If I run through my application, I will see only the first error which is coming up first. So let's say after I'm solving that error, I have to then say after I'm running that application, I'm going to get another error. So this will add some complexity in the development phase and also the testing phase. So this, let's say if you enable the merge error option to retain all errors, then in the end, what you can do is you can obtain all the error informations so that you can, from the start itself, you can avoid all those errors and all the you can solve all the errors and run the applications, and it will reduces the debugging time also. So the two terminal functions. So this is something I found more useful in the LabVIEW 2020. So as Muruganandan said about the quick drop shortcuts, say I hope you guys remember about this quick drop shortcut. Say whenever you have a two terminal functions like this, let's say if you want to swap the terminals, so you would go through, assume a case when in previous versions of LabVIEW, we have, we need to wire all the terminals in order to replace the terminals. But in LabVIEW 2020, let's say if you have wrongly wired the terminal, let's say in the subtractant case, so if you are wrongly wired the terminal, instead of second terminal, if you wired it in the first terminal, you can replace with a similar quick drop shortcut with the one terminal wired itself. So that will add some flexibility. It will work with all the two terminal functions. So this is another function, another feature I found more useful. In structures terminal, you found all these common structures. So what if you notice, first thing is the for loop and while loop. You are now missing some terminal which is common in both. So you are missing the I terminal. So let's say I am developing some task which is very in the block diagram. I am using a very narrow for loop or a while loop. So let's say this in previous version the I terminal is kind of not removable or cannot be disabled. So that's that will add slight repositioning when the developer is kind of doing some development within the small for loop. So when you have this sort of in LabVIEW 2020, you have the option to disable the I terminal or like make it disable from the for loop if you are not using the I terminal. So that will be kind of adding more room to small room to your LabVIEW development. So similarly, in case structures and event structures, they have added some other functions. Say in case structure and event structures, you have multiple events and cases, right? So in that cases, so if you want to do a developer documentation, you will find out that kind of some mismatch in the way it was developed. Say a case. So if you are having 10 functionalities which is implemented or both in say either case structure or event structure, so when you are doing documentation, you want to make it almost everything proper. So you want to make the initialization steps at the end, at the start, and processing step at the middle, and closing the references step at the end. So you want to make everything proper, right? So that sorting can be done with the case structure and event structure. Even in the previous version that is available, but in this present version in LabVIEW 2020, what we found is like there is an option where we can collectively select multiple cases and quickly move through all the cases to a required position. So that's a cool feature which I found more useful when in the development phase. So as like Mohamed told this, I found the OpenG libraries are more useful in the development. So they offer some cool functionalities which can be reduce the developer's time. So as the hidden gems also, so I found this hidden gems library functions to more use in the add some more flexibility in the development. Basically, this match 1D string array. So we have many matching match string functions in LabVIEW. This function is kind of pretty much cool because it works with the array. Because if you want to work with the match pattern string array with in lab or which is available in LabVIEW, it requires a for loop to be implemented. So let's say if you have this match only string array, you can use this array, this function Yeah, and with the input of array, you can give a pattern, so which will reduce the for loop implementation in the LabVIEW. So the next one is the variant data type. So whenever you want to create some numeric info, let's say you have a enum or ring as constant, you don't want to create a ring control or something. Then what you can do is like you can obtain the name in a different way, like in the get numeric info function, which will reduce the implementation with property nodes. So the final one is the VI server. So this there is this always use the VI server function with this functionality. So whenever we develop the application, we will be having multiple sub VIs running on parallel. So in the final case, we often tend to forget closing the reference. That will lead to multiple errors and something in the end. So that will add some complexity in the applications execution also. So closing the VI reference before the VI leaves the memory will also helps you to develop and also will help you to execute the VI in a full-fledged manner. Thank you. If you guys have any doubts,